Hello and welcome to Console Shock, episode 18. We're back again with me, Trev, and as usual, Stu from Playnation Games. Hi, Stu.
Hi there, Trev. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very well, very well. On this take of doing the podcast, I won't talk about Tuesday night and going to the football with you.
Yeah, this is a second
'Cause
attempt.
it's our second attempt, and few little technical issues, mainly at my end.
Yeah,
But
you find you're now sitting on the modem with your.
I've got it permanently just plugged in. I'm literally a meter away from the modem, and
So you
it's
could be
wired
anyhow.
in to the modem. And
There's no danger
I've
of your voice
literally
going.
turned off anything else that may possibly be using the internet in this flat. And just to let you know,
Good.
this is a little bit of an advert, really. If you invest in 150 megabyte Virgin broadband,
Planning on having a YouTube channel.
don't necessarily think that you won't get a lag-free conversation.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because
you will.
your upload is a fraction of your download, and so with something like even like this, it can cause issues, can't it? But
It's quite frustrating. But
well, we got as far as talking about what we normally talk about when it's just me and you on the show, which it has been now. The last one wasn't this one. Anything gaming related that we're playing or kind of doing, and you're about to reveal how you're a bit of a spec chum.
I'm a spec chum. Yeah, well, what I've been playing, I want to go through it again. Okay, let's do it. So I've, basically in the last month, I've been redoing the spare room, and then my girlfriend's sister's been staying man cave, office, whatever, room where we dump stuff. Anyway, so my girlfriend's sister's been staying over for a week, and I eventually got the room back. And over that time, of course, like all of us, I'm constantly buying little games. I watch a YouTube video and I think, I want to buy that game. So I was watching actually What Culture Pro Wrestling, and they did this whole thing about rubbish WWE games. And one of those was WWE Crush Hour on the GameCube. And I thought, hey, hang on, that looks quite good fun.
You thought, I'll have a slice of that.
And I don't usually like wrestling games, but the more knowledgeable of you in our audience will know that it's not a wrestling game. It's actually a racing game, sort of similar to Twisted Metal or something like that, where you're hitting the other cars and you've got to do things like that. So I've got that. That's in my list of games to play. Then I also got Call of Duty Ghosts on the Wii U. Believe it or not. So I think I want to
grab those Wii U games. Grab those Wii U games while you can, because they're going to get collectible. Dreamcast, in my opinion.
Actually, talking about collectible Wii U games, do you remember how Twilight Princess on the GameCube is like, one of the most expensive games? It's 40, 50 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, it goes for about 50, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that the Breath of the Wind, the Windy Breath Zelda that's coming out for the Wii U, will the Wii U version be extremely rare? And should you buy one and keep it sealed for a year or something like that?
So I've got it. I've got the Twilight Princess. Not Breath of the Wild, but Twilight Princess Wii
on the
U.
GameCube. Yeah.
No, the Wii U
remake. Yeah.
So sort of the third version of it, I guess. It's still in the shrink wrap. I haven't taken it out. My intention is to play it, but sod's law, I'll leave that in the shrink wrap and grab another copy that's secondhand for a few quid, and I'll end up playing that. But I think it would be more valuable, on the Wii U. I think I'll probably grab it for the Switch, because that's what you'll end up playing it more. But I think copies for the Wii U will become like Twilight Princess. Yeah, I think so. Maybe even more so, because there were less Wii U sold than GameCubes. Actually, half the amount. So
definitely, yeah.
More collectible potentially.
Okay, well, moving on. I also got in a couple of episodes ago, we had Kim Justice from the internet on the show, and we talked a lot about football in that podcast. And one of the games that came up again and again, and was by yourself, Trev, and by Kim. Both of you said, actually, that's a really good game. It was the sort of the pinnacle of that game on the original PlayStation.
Yes.
And so actually I thought, well, I only get that. So I managed to pick that up as well. and I'm really enjoying it. But it's it's one of those games where the ball sort of sticks to your feet, and you can sort of run around everyone, run back to where your goal is, and then run back the other end and score if you want to.
What is the game? You haven't even said the game.
Have I not said the game? Well, it was the one that you were talking about. Drum roll.
That is FIFA 98. There we go.
FIFA 98. To cut a long story short, road to the World Cup.
Indeed. And what a road.
Exactly. And I'm really enjoying it. It's
better than we talked about 99, obviously, and people tend to say that's better. I don't think it is. It's way too fast. It's even more. I mean, now you sort of see those sort of games. They're quite arcadey when you compare to the much more realistic now games that are very slow paced, like Pro Evo and recent FIFAs, which is great. We like that, but they've aged to the point where they're not really. They're very different to play, and I find 99 difficult because it's very, very fast. And if you play it on something like an N64, the frame rate is awful, and it's very, very choppy. But 98, they didn't really go crazy with the speed. Obviously, it's very arcadey, but that was, I think, the pinnacle of the. Although 2000 is good on the PlayStation as well. That was probably the best one.
Okay, okay. An update. I'm now going to sell 98. So anyone who's interested in FIFA 98, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to get FIFA 2000.
You're going to get 2000.
It's now
2001's good.
Is now the best one.
You could also go for the final PlayStation game ever, FIFA 2005.
Was it really? God.
That was the last ever PS1 game. Yeah, I have a copy. It's actually all right. It's just 2000 with updated teams and updated menu screens. I just gave up at that. Well, that's what they always do, isn't it? When you go into when a console goes into the sports game retirement home, you just get squad updates with a different cover and a different title screen, which is probably what's happening. Good to the 3. Well, it is happening to the 360 now.
They call it the Legacy Edition, don't they? The last two on the Vita and the Wii.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? They did it once, but I think 14 and 15. But with 16, what you have left now, the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and they haven't done that with those.
It's funny with FIFA. We still get lots of people coming into the shop going, "Oh, have you got FIFA 17 on the PS3?" And we go, "No. It probably sells for more than the PS4 version, just because." They went, okay, well, we'll plan to sell 100,000 or 50,000, so quite a low number in the UK, and
it's weird because
quite hard to find.
I bought one for the 360 because I actually like the last gen versions of FIFA because they play quite differently now. So the Frostbite engine versions now that you have on the PC and PS4 and all that. And they're really enjoyable still. So I bought FIFA 17 and I play it a lot on the 360. It hasn't got the journey mode in it, but it has got all the other new stuff. It's very similar gameplay wise to 16, but you've got the J League in there. There's some extra. Obviously, it's got all the latest kits and everything, and all the Premier League stadiums and all the other thing and all the new stadiums they added in. So I don't think it's quite a legacy edition where they've literally just changed the kits and the players. But yeah, it's hard. I'm looking now. I went into my local CX and they had like I think one copy of it. They had about 10 FIFA 16s. But this is really the year when, I guess last year, isn't it? Because when it came out, when everybody migrated en masse. To the Xbox One and the PS4. I mean, you must notice that, I guess.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's what. I mean, you still get in. As I said, I think I probably said.
You get people coming in and ask for it then for the 360.
Well, yeah, you get lots of kids will come in. They're looking for it because they still they can't afford a PS4 or an Xbox One, and then what you also tend to get is I don't know how to put it, but
we get collectors as well who know it's going to be one of the final games.
And workers from Eastern Europe, for want of a better word, they're coming in and they're just, grab a PS3, or they brought one from wherever they're from, and then they go, I want the latest FIFA, and of course it's quite difficult to find, so we tend to not have it in most of the time. But it's always welcome when it does get traded in, because it always guaranteed to sell pretty quickly. So that's great.
It's funny actually, because I got that for the 360, and also went on a bit of a spree of getting the other the other sports games that have come out last year for the 360, just because I know this might be the last year. I got NBA 2K17.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure that'll be the last NBA game. They might do 2K18. I don't think they will. And I got WWE 2K17 as well, because they were both 20 quid. And I thought brand new, so I thought, sod it, I'll grab them.
Yeah.
I don't think there'll be another WWE game. I think there'll be FIFA 18. There'll be a FIFA 18, I think, for the 360. I think they still sell enough. You might get one more after that, but I think there'll just be FIFA 18, and there'll just be probably Just Dance. That'll be the only two games that will come out for the 360.
Just Dance, I think that still comes out on the Wii. But for me, what you'll find is that, okay, that they'll make the game, but it's actually to sell in other regions. So places like Brazil.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Sort of, areas in Africa.
Secondary markets, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
secondary markets. And for them, as you said before, they're probably not going to update it too much. It's going to get the new players in, but it's actually, they're really sort of rehashing the same game and not putting all the effort in like they do with the PS4 version. And so potentially it will still sell. What I've been trying to get recently, talking about football games, is Pro Evo 2014 on the PlayStation 2, because that was the last game, or or FIFA. I don't know which one's quite the last game.
About a couple of weeks difference, I think.
Yeah, and if you try and get that off eBay, it's £30, £35, £40, something like that. It's not cheap.
Easy. Yeah, so is FIFA 14. That's what I'm after as well. Pro Evo 2014. I think it might be.
Let's not out try and bid each other and bid the price up, because
it's not on my list now. It's not on my list now to get literally the next week or two. But at some stage, I've got FIFA 14 for the PS2.
Yeah.
But I got that in a bundle where some bloke was selling all the PS2 FIFA games, including that, and it was only about 40 quid. So I'm like, bloody hell, he's got he's going to be giving away FIFA 14, which can go for 30 odd quid on its own. But yeah, I got it for that, and I was like, I don't think he really knew what he had. So it's in great nick as well, and I played it, and it's just I think probably FIFA 07 was the last one they actually
really updated,
and they were just reskins after that. But that was all right. That was a very playable football game. It's quite enjoyable to play now.
Talking about football, on the way home from Tuesday night, I was on the train, and of course you listen to other people's conversations.
You were on the way home from Tuesday night itself, the actual
from Charlton. I was on Tuesday night. I was on my way home from seeing a football game at Charlton Athletic, and there was a guy sitting in the. Sorry.
The worst team you could watch at the moment, and I'm saying that as a child.
It wasn't great. Anyway, this guy had just he was telling everyone on the train, and he was chatting to some Oxford United fans on there, and everyone was really amicable. And he was saying that he'd just come back from 4 years in Korea, and he landed literally 9 hours ago, and he thought the first thing he should do is go and watch Charlton Athletic on a cold, very cold, windy Tuesday night.
Presumably he's a Charlton fan then.
Right? Yeah, I imagine he is.
Yeah.
And he was saying how much he enjoyed it, and in a couple of weeks, I don't know who this guy was, I'm just rehashing the conversation I heard.
He must have really low standards.
He is off to, where's he off to? Japan, to do another teach English type job or whatever he was doing. So anyway, there's my story.
That was a good story. That's the end of the podcast, guys.
Anyway, the big purchase I had this month, and in fact I got it yesterday, is a Sinclair ZX Spectrum Plus 2, 128K.
Wow.
With an RGB SCART lead.
Why the devil did you buy that?
I like to buy stuff that I remember playing when I was younger, and that was the first
you got an RGB SCART? You got an RGB SCART with it?
Yes, yeah.
It actually outputs RGB then?
The Plus 2, all the 128K models have the RGB SCART out.
Oh, right, cool.
Yeah. So my dad bought me this machine years and years and years ago, maybe when I was 8 or 9 or something. And I used to like playing it. And I'm quite looking forward to getting down to the shop on Saturday and having a look through all the Spectrum games that we have got and trying to find a few more that I used to play. And it's quite fun loading them all up. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Just need to get a joystick port for it, so I can use my Master System controller. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Those are the days, eh? When you could just get the old D-shaped plug for the controllers, and you could just bung any old pad in there that was compatible.
Wow.
Couldn't you? Like the Amiga as well was the same. You could pop a Mega Drive pad in there,
Yeah.
joystick, Competition Pro, whatever, Atari pad.
For the Spectrum, you could do that with the old systems, but with the new Spectrum, when Alan Sugar took over, what he did. Huh?
Sugar Tits, that's what I call
Sugar
it.
Tits. Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I don't know him that well, to be honest. But basically, what he did was with the Spectrum Plus 2s, the joystick ports, you can only use the special Sinclair joysticks which he sold. It's got the same port,
isn't it?
but they probably flip round all the connectors. So up means down, left means right, or whatever. I don't know. So you have to either buy one of his special joysticks, which aren't very comfortable to use, to be honest, or you have to buy a what's called a Kempston adapter, and then you can plug in, any Mega Drive Master System, any zip stick for your Amiga, anything like that to get going.
Similar with the old Atari ST,
Did that do the same thing, did it?
You can't bung any old D-shaped controller in. A Mega Drive one doesn't work. Master System one does, but there's a very limited sort of amount of controllers that you can plug in. The only one that I can get to work is a Master System. That's on a 1040 ST. And Atari Jaguar controllers work.
Oh, really?
Enough. Yeah, they actually released a version of that controller that was in like an Atari ST box called the Pro Controller. I'm not sure if it was coloured like an Atari ST. It might have been actually, but yeah, they work. So yeah, nice fact for you there. If you have an Atari ST and a Jaguar.
Well, enough about me, Trevor. On to you. What have you been playing?
I've been playing them old video games. I'll be honest, mate.
Them old?
Were you expecting that? Them old video games. So I've got a bit of the sports game sort of phase at the moment, specifically Mega Drive. So I actually got lots of NBA related games on the Mega Drive. Played a bit of NBA Live, NBA Live 95 on the SNES and the Mega Drive. SNES version is a bit crap. The Mega Drive version is actually a lot better. And I played Bulls versus the Blazers. Bit difficult on the eyes, that game. It's very choppy. The scrolling is very choppy on both the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo version. But the game after that, just to give you a bit of background, that these became the NBA Live series, which is kind of going still, I think. There was a 16, wasn't there? They didn't make a 17, though. So I don't know if they've kind of given up with the 2K games being so much better.
That was it. They were just very poorly received, and the 2K games were just better, weren't they? So I'm sure they're going to come back in a year or two and nabbed everyone from 2K Sports to try and make a better version.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for NBA Showdown to arrive, which was another one of the so and so versus so and so and the NBA playoff series, because there was a few of them. The first one of them, the Celtics. God, what was the first one? Is it the Celtics versus the Lakers?
I think
so. Lakers versus the Celtics, and the NBA playoffs. I need to check that now. Yeah, that is the rarest PAL Mega Drive game, which is weird. Not a game you would associate. Sports games don't tend to be thought of as rare games, but in the UK, that is a very rare game. It's the US version is very common. In fact, you'll probably see that more even in the UK than you will the actual Mega Drive version. There's no one knows how many there are. It's weird. There isn't actually a consensus that of how many there are floating around. So if you see one in your CEX or Stu, if you have one in Playnation Games, you're very lucky. But yeah, that became NBA Live, and I'm waiting for NBA Showdown, which was basically NBA Live '94 before they gave it that name.
You're trying to get some of the NBA Jam games because they're the ones I remember.
Well, that's the one everybody plays, wasn't it? But I preferred the more simulation style ones. It was great; they were great fun. But I just preferred the ones that were more like the actual sport.
I know, but if you think about it, I've watched plenty of NBA games, and when they score a hoop, is that the right term? When they score a hoop, it sets on fire. Yeah. And that's what happens in the NBA Jam games.
It's based on real life.
Yeah. It's based on real life, yeah.
Well, there is those. I probably will get around to them. But yeah, so I had that. I've also got I got FIFA 98 for the SNES, which is actually rubbish compared to the Mega Drive version. Again, frame rate things. It's really bad with frame rate with the Super Nintendo and sports games.
It hasn't got blast processing.
No, well, literally, it's the processor's slower, isn't it? So rendering a bunch of players' sprites all together at once is a bit challenging for the SNES without any, support chips in the cartridge, and also Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast, playing that as well, the Xbox version, which also works on the Xbox 360 with the backwards compatibility, and it's pretty much flawless when you play it on that. In fact, it's a little bit better because you obviously upscales the game, and you also the Xbox 360 controller is better than the original Xbox one. So if you have it, play it on the 360. Really, really good game. Very faithful to the original Outrun. Really good music, remixes of the old songs like Magical Sound Shower and Splash Wave and all those. Really good game. And got NBA 2K11 as well for the 360, as that's generally considered to be the best basketball game ever made. So yeah, I haven't played it yet though, but I will be playing it. So yeah, that's my my recent purchases. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
what are your
pretty
thoughts
good
on those, Stu?
Yeah, I mean, a
Fan
lot
of Outrun?
I am actually. I'll tell you a little fact about Outrun. I'm full of facts today.
You are?
I bought that I had it on the Xbox originally. It was brilliant. It was a really good simulator, not real good arcade game, great music, looked amazing for an Xbox game. So I thought, actually, I want to get this on the PSP. And on the PSP, on both I've got two PSPs. On both of them, I've got like an 8 gig card. I've downloaded a few games on there. But when you get Outrun for that, it only lets you save a profile on there if you have a 32 megabyte card, which I don't have.
Oh, yeah. So a 32 megabyte card. You've got an 8 gig one.
What? And it just won't let you save a profile. And with those games, of course, you want to, you go through all the tracks, you want to unlock them, you want to come back to it ready. And you can't do any of the career bits. So I've done a few races on there, and I thought, oh yeah, this is enjoyable. But you haven't got any sort of progression. You can't unlock anything because you haven't got a profile.
Hang on. So if you haven't got any the specific 32 megabyte card,
I think you've got to have something like a really low.
Anything over a gig, it just won't recognise it at all.
Yes, it's something like that. Of course, I've got a 4 gig in one and maybe an 8 gig in the other. So on either of them, it doesn't save. And of course, you go on to all of the, oh, my game won't save. And then it just, oh yeah, it's a common problem. What you need to do is use a small capacity card.
It's infuriating.
So it's just a little bit like, oh, well, I've bought this game. I really want to play it, and okay, I could go and get a 32 megabyte card, but then maybe I don't want to play it that much. Yeah, is it worth it? Exactly.
Yeah. They don't make games like Outrun 2006 anymore. You've got the Need for Speed games in terms of arcade races, but they don't really make them, do they? It's basically Mario Kart or Forza / Gran Turismo these days, or Project Cars, whatever is your flavour that you like.
Yeah, they don't have that real arcadey sort of, the pumping soundtrack.
And just racing against, doing a fairly straightforward career mode or campaign or whatever. No real, deep car modification stuff, because those games weren't about that. Really.
No.
They even have that in Need for Speed now, which is great if you like that. But if you just want to literally just race and completely switch off and not have to worry about the admin side of things, there's nothing that really does that now. Even the recent Need for Speed, you have to watch all these cutscenes and all that stuff.
There's some sort of story behind it all, and
yeah, and it was like an open world thing, which is great. But it's not just pick your track, pick automatic manual transmission, race, try and win to get a trophy, and then do the next one. Forza's probably closer to that, weirdly, isn't it? Because it is.
Yeah, that's right. It's going through the tracks and
the races.
And but you want it to, you go around the corners, you want to hear it squeak. You don't want it to be super realistic, and that sort of adds a little bit more sort of fun to it. I think the closest one to it was on the Vita a few years ago. A Ridge Racer game came out for that.
Yeah.
That's the closest one I can really think of. Maybe someone screaming at us now, going, "Oh no, what about this one? What about that one?" But
I bought that on the Vita, but it was weird, wasn't it? Because it came with one track, and you had to download the others. You got an extra one free on the day it came out, I think, or an extra couple, and the rest you had to buy as DLC. And you had to buy all the best music tracks. You had to buy them as well for like £1 or something. It was just a bizarre release. And the one that came out on the 3DS like the year before, that was good. That was like a full game. I enjoyed that. Yeah, the Vita.
I don't know what they're doing with the Ridge Racer series, because they came out with that Ridge Racer game on the 360,
Unbounded,
which was kind of like really big and open world and completely different from all the others. And then it's almost like the other series of Ridge Racer, like Ridge Racer 6, Ridge Racer 7, the Ridge Racer games on the PSP, and then the Vita, and then the 3DS are almost the same game, just rehashed with the same tracks, and there's nothing much has changed about it. Well, okay, it's a good model, but gone are the days when Ridge Racer is so amazing. You get 3 tracks. You'll just be, a demo of the next Forza will come out, and you'll get 2 tracks.
It's like the last few Ridge Races have basically almost just been greatest hits, instead of a real attempt. The great Ridge Racer greatest hits as opposed to being a real attempt at a new one. I mean, I would buy a new if they made a Ridge Racer 8. I'd probably buy it because I'm a big fan of the series. But the last real one, console one, I think it would have been 7. No, it would have been that Ridge Racer Unbounded. But I played the demo.
Right, but that was a completely different game.
You kind of smash through buildings to get points, wasn't it, or something weird? And you use nitrous to get.
And that's not Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer is kind of, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's more like Burnout. To me, Ridge Racer is, doing the drifting around the corners.
Yeah, exactly.
Great environments to sort of race round, and that's what you want. But you want them to take that formula to the next level.
And 7 was good. 6 and 7 on the 360 and the PS3 was good, and then the ones on the 3DS one was pretty good, which is kind of the last kind of classic style one, really. Oh well, it was the Vita one, but that was kind of a bizarre online only almost. I thought it wasn't really a single player, was there? I think you could do a time attack, but that was about it.
I don't know. I've got the Vita one. There was a deal, some sort of sale at one point where you got the game and then all of the tracks are $4.99. So I grabbed that at one point. But I remember thinking, well, this is exactly the same experience I had playing the PSP one 2 years earlier. And
exactly, yeah.
Okay, the graphics are slightly better, but
yeah. I really like the PSP one. That was great.
That was very good. That was very good.
Yeah, it was such a shame. And I don't think you can even download the tracks now. I think they probably killed the server.
Yeah, maybe.
It was just a half-assed attempt at it, I think, unfortunately. So, yeah. Hopefully Namco make a Ridge Racer 8. We'll buy it. A good one, of course. Yeah.
Oh, do you want to hear some breaking news?
Is it football related?
It is actually, yeah.
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say. Ranieri, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you ruined it. I was going to do a big Leicester City FC sacked manager Claudio Ranieri 9 months after he led them to the first Premier League title.
How many people are going to be interested in hearing that?
Well, I don't know. Do you know what, actually? I was looking at our analytics on the software that we use to upload the podcasts. And
Yes.
it's quite funny, actually, because 35.4% of people are from the UK. And that's, of course, where you and me are from, Trevor. And then coming in just behind at 34.3%, the rest of 34.3% of people come from Australia.
That's interesting.
So
How
I
the devil
think,
did we get those guys?
well, I don't know. I don't know. But I think we've got to appeal more to the Australian demographic. So, what's your favourite AFL? No, Aussie Rules football game, Trevor.
AFL Live on the PSP.
Brilliant. Mine's.
You're expecting me to say, "Oh, I don't know, Stu."
Do you know what? I knew you'd know, but I'm going to say exactly the same one as you just said, but I've forgotten the title of it already. There you go.
Yeah, there was one on the PSP, funnily enough.
Was there? I think
people that make Rugby League Live. I think
Rugby League.
Rugby
I've actually got the Rugby League Live game on the 360, and you can play as all of the NRL teams, which is quite good because they're usually actually quite good, whereas the Super teams are mediocre.
I've got Rugby League Live 2 on the Xbox 360. I believe it's up to 3 or 4 now. And I got a bit bored of it, to be honest. I've got Rugby Challenge 3, and I haven't even played it yet. I've got it knocking around somewhere. I did like Rugby Challenge, though.
I think the problem with the rugby games, the rugby league ones work a little bit better because you're kind of, how do you put it? There's
no scrums or anything.
Sideways, but then when you play the rugby union games, it just seems, press this to do that, press this, and then press this combination.
It's a very difficult sport.
It is, and the rugby league games to me seem to flow a hell of a lot better. But I think because they haven't got the EA behind them, they're almost sort of made by quite a small development team, so they haven't got the flashiness.
No, it's a tiny team. It's great. It's a great job that they do, considering how tiny they are compared to EA.
It's a cracking job that they do. They really do a good job with it, but.
EA used to make a great rugby game. Rugby 08 is the best rugby game, I think, that ever came out. Still is. People still make mods for the PC version and everything to keep it going and all that stuff, but they gave up after that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, the PC version, because you can like mod it, but EA kind of, I guess, it didn't sell well enough, and they gave up and never made one since.
Yeah, but they used to have one every. On trying that.
Yeah, they used to have a game out every year. EA.
There was Jonah Lomu's rugby.
Yeah, that was great. That was Codemasters game. There was the Rugby World Cup game on the Mega Drive. It's a difficult sport, though, to make into a video game.
I think on the Super Nintendo there is a rugby league game, and it's got the NRL, the old NRL logo on the cartridge. So if you ever see that
SNES game, yeah,
it's a rugby league SNES game, though.
Oh right, I know of a Union one called World Class Rugby, which is actually all right. It's not a bad game.
Yeah, I'm just going to Google rugby league.
I could see an Australian rugby league game. Yeah, obviously that'll be an exclusive to Australia, I guess.
Australian rugby league. It came out on the Mega Drive as well. And actually, this is interesting. It's made by EA Sports, and it's got the same field, the same isometric view as the FIFA games have got. No, the FIFA game.
There was a rugby game on the Mega Drive by EA, it was Rugby World Cup '95, and that's exactly the same. It's a really good game. Probably one of the first genuinely good rugby games. Rugby World Cup '95. It was only on the Mega Drive though, and then it make a Super Nintendo version due to the lack of glass processing. But it would have really struggled with 30 sprites on the field. Mega Drive can do it, but yeah, it's a really good game. So I would advise checking that out as well if you want to. Not very easy to get. Very very common on the Mega Drive. I would advise to check that out. It's really good. But yeah, difficult sport to translate into a game. I think the easiest one is
rugby.
Yeah, probably ice hockey. I think is the.
I'm gonna say, I have to admit, I think it's football translates the best. Football or tennis or something. They're the sort of the best games that translate, or the best sports that translates into games.
I think gameplay-wise, I think probably if I was going to have someone play a sports game that didn't play them, I probably would give them NHL. I think that'd be something they would enjoy because you could put basic control mode on, so everyone gets like 3 buttons, basically like NHL '94, and I think they would get into it and really enjoy it a lot more quickly than a football game where there is a lot of controls. There's that 2-button mode in FIFA, but your team you're kind of useless. Where you can't run, there's no sprint button, there's no through ball button. But so I don't think that'll be as easy. But basketball games are quite complicated. NBA 2K is quite complicated. There's a lot of buttons with that. You can kind of, although I'm rebind the buttons to match FIFA, and then you can kind of get straight into it because there's a lot of similar actions. Weirdly enough, there's a pass, there's a shoot, there's a sprint, so you can kind of remap it. Which helps if you haven't played basketball games. But when you get the hang of the controls, they're really enjoyable. I can't really play them with really long quarters though. I see the people on YouTube, the big like basketball game streamer people, and they play like 15-minute quarters like a real game. I have to dial it down to like 2 minutes because that still means it's a good 10 minutes to get through a game. Longer than that,
I could easily play 90 minutes worth of Pro Evo or FIFA or something, but I don't think I could do one whole game. It'll have to be
yeah, I could play for a couple of hours, but not like one game. I wouldn't be able to do that with a football game. I like having a 10, 15, 20-minute max game. So yeah, with basketball games, I have to dial that down. Ice hockey is a bit different because it's I think it's because the nature of basketball, where it's you go at one end score, they go at the other end score. It's quite repetitive, more so than a football match, which could be quite subtle in how basketball can be as well, but it's slower, isn't it? So it's not constant back and forth. And ice hockey is a little bit like that, but it's a bit more of a flow to it. There's one you got the puck with one guy, and you sort of gracefully sort of skate around, and make a little slot for you to shoot from, and all that stuff. Whereas basketball, it's just very quick, short bursts of stuff. So yeah, and then you got games like WWE 2K, which is a wrestler, but they're quite complicated now.
They're quite complicated, but to me, they're very, very slow, clunky.
They are, yeah.
And I don't really, and it's quite a funny thing because how you're making a game out of something. Now, I'm a wrestling fan. I like watching it. I go to a few live events, and it is how do you put it? It's predetermined. Everyone knows that it's predetermined. So if they were actually going to do a game based on wrestling being real, it would be a case of before the match starts, you'd decide that the Undertaker's going to win and Shawn Michaels is going to lose. Okay, go out there and make an exciting looking match for 20 minutes, and then at the end, the Undertaker wins and Shawn Michaels loses. But in reality, it's not. You don't know what's going to happen. So it's sort of, I don't know, it doesn't feel quite right. If that makes sense.
The two, I mean, I like them, but they're not very. You have to really be in the mood to play it because it's not a casual thing. You can just, for me, I can just play for 15 minutes. It's like a weird bunch of mini games that are stitched together into a single match, and they're all different mini games.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I see when I play 2K WWE, because you've got like a grapple mini game where you have to kind of do some kind of joystick action to get to to win that grapple that will allow you to unlock another mini game where you do another move on the other dude. Whereas if you're getting a move done on you, there is a little thing where you have to hit one of the triggers to counter it, and if it gives you a little split second to do it, like a quick time event. And if you miss that, then you'll get the guy will be able to complete the move on you. And it kind of works out where it's not like an energy bar. Well, it is an energy bar, but there's different phases of the energy bar where they're sort of all green and all good and strong and good. and then you kind of wear down the green bit. You wear the opponent down to get into a yellow bit, and that unlocks more powerful moves because they're weaker. And then you get to a bit where they basically have a red energy bar. That means you can do all the devastating moves and all that stuff to the point where you can pin them. And then there might be an element of, if it's a cage match, there's a little weird mini game you have to do to climb the cage, because the point is you get to the top, and then whoever gets to the top wins. There's no pinning. So it's just lots of very disparate mini games. You could just pass it to your girlfriend and say, "Hey, let's play WWE 2K," because they'd be like, "What?" They'd be throwing all this weird. I mean, as you get button prompts to show you, you know, when you can counter and what to do in the grapple mini game and all that stuff. But it's not something you could have at a party and just play like a casual game, like you can virtual tennis or something, you know. But yeah, I guess you probably could do that with FIFA, to be honest, because there's so many buttons now. I can't really play people. I was at the work Christmas party. We had a PS3 and we were playing like FIFA. I was actually annihilating everybody because the most of the time they're wrestling the controls, and you'd be there saying, "No, shoot, it's X, mate. You got to press X to pass." And it's like, yeah, it's not a game you can really casually play. WWE.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Yeah.
Unlike the old games, but the old games were kind of just button mashing, weren't they? So they weren't really.
Well, that's it. It's I don't know any of the wrestling games. I do like wrestling, but I just don't like the games. I just find them. But I sort of like the idea of taking your character through and doing it all, but just the whole wrestling side of it, it doesn't seem like a good mechanic. But people seem to like it. It gets high ratings by the So
yeah, I mean, I can see how if you're into them, I can see why they'd be a good game. I don't think they're lying when they sort of say 8 out of 10 or whatever, 9 out of 10. I think the best one that I've enjoyed the most was 2K14. The first one that the 2K was a 2K game after THQ went tits up, because that had a really good mode called 30 Years of WrestleMania, and it just basically took you through each WrestleMania with participating in the key wrestling match. In that, and you just basically have to try and match the sort of how it actually occurred in real life. That was really enjoyable.
I'll tell you one.
That was only in that one.
We're sort of planning this almost for another podcast, but a game wrestling game that I actually really did enjoy was WWF on the PlayStation 1 in your house, and it was based on the Mortal Kombat engine.
WrestleMania Arcade.
Exactly, WrestleMania Arcade as well, made by Acclaim, and that was almost you both got 2 health bars. There were the character sprites were done the same as Mortal Kombat.
They digitized them,
You did all digitized people, and you go out there and you'll do your special moves and boom, 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 and it was almost like, well, they've taken Street Fighter 2 Mortal Kombat, and then okay, let's make it into put it into the wrestling world.
Yeah, I actually bought the Mega Drive version of WrestleMania Arcade.
Did you? Yeah.
It came out on everything. It was a very early PlayStation and Saturn game, and it also came out on the SNES and the Mega Drive. It was really hard to get a good price one though. The price on that has gone really high up. I managed to get it for about 20 quid. But people on eBay selling it for about 80 quid complete, the Mega Drive version. But it's a really fun. Yeah. Well, I would if I want it. But it's a fun game. I mean, there's no depth to it at all. You literally just put the game in, play there's like 2 levels. There's like Intercontinental title and there's World Championship. And it's like a ladder in Mortal Kombat, like one of the ladders. You just play a series of wrestlers, and there's one where you do 2-on-1 and all that stuff till you get to like the final match. But it's just fun. I mean, you could just be a button mash, and you could basically complete it, and it takes about half an hour to do. But yeah, it's great fun. You could just slap the cartridge in, button mash it, and you have a good time. More so than Super WrestleMania was good. I think it was the 16-bit consoles where they started getting kind of actually playable. Because before that, they were just button mashing games, really, weren't they? Although the Japanese ones were good, weren't they?
Well, they were
Fight Pro.
Fight Pro, and I don't know, they're all completely different. But I think a few of them are almost. I don't know if I'm making up stuff here, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But on the N64, a few of the wrestling games came out with sort of a WWE, WCW type skin or ECW. Then they actually came out in Japan with that whole I can't remember the main wrestling.
New Japan Pro Wrestling,
New Japan or something like that. Or there's another series of wrestling games in Japan. I can't quite remember what they're called though.
Well, there's a few good ones. I mean, there was Fire Pro, and there's
Fire Pro, yes, Fire Pro.
Yeah, which came out on loads of things. It was like an isometric kind of view, but it was genuinely like, you know, tactical and all that stuff. It wasn't just button mashing. But there was also I think the guys that make Ukes, I think they're called, the guys that make the WWE 2K games. They made a game called Rumble Roses, which is really lame sounding, but it was a wrestling game where it was just women. But it was actually really good. It was actually really good wrestling game.
Do you know what? I did actually have. I've played that. I think I had it at one point, and with me not liking wrestling games and not really knowing the buttons, I didn't enjoy it at all.
Oh yeah, again, it's the one you can't just jump into. It's very tactical, but if you give it time, it's quite enjoyable.
Okay.
And then you've also, I think the older one though is Saturday Night Slam Masters on the Super Nintendo Mega Drive, but that is really collectible. I mean, a couple £100 that goes for the Mega Drive version, if you even manage to see one floating around on eBay. But that's a Capcom wrestling game. So you can imagine, obviously, they're at the height of their sort of, you know, powers in the early 90s, and it came out on the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo. But yeah, I'm looking at just one dude selling one on eBay. Obviously, the listing price doesn't necessarily reflect what people pay for it, but £150 for the Mega Drive version. SNES seems to go for a bit cheaper for some reason, which is on the other way around, isn't it?
What I'm
looking at it, there's about 5 on eBay on the Mega Drive. None of them are less than 120 quid.
What's the name of the game again?
Saturday Night Slam Masters.
A
really good wrestling game. Maybe probably because it's made by Capcom. That's probably driven the price up. But it's always a good game. It's a good game as well. But yeah, very expensive game. We actually do sold listings, so I'm looking at it now. Well, some lucky person got it for 41 quid. Although it's in a battered old box with no instructions.
We've had the game in a few times.
On the Mega Drive?
No, just on the SNES. I don't think I've ever seen it on the Mega Drive.
Yeah, it's more common on the SNES, it seems, yeah.
It seems obviously a little bit more reasonable, but still quite expensive.
It's a good game, though, so it's not worth that, but it is a genuinely good game if you can find a cheap copy. It's difficult. I mean, a lot of the games I'm after, there's copies, but they never have the instructions, which annoys me. I'm trying to get Turtles Tournament Fighters for the Mega Drive. There's loads of them knocking around on eBay, but none of them have the instructions. And I'm a bit of a fussy person when it comes to that. And
I'll buy a game whatever condition it comes in at all.
Well, you've got no standards, Stu.
I've got no standards, no.
To be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Totally. You're not going to argue that at all, right? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's even though the Mega Drive version is worse, the worst version, the SNES version is actually good. I actually want to get the Mega Drive version, but yeah, there's there's one for 32 quid. Actually, I shouldn't say that, should I? Because I'm going to be bloody going and buying it now. Oh wait, there's a little bit of a crease in the bottom right. Forget it. Gone.
Buy it.
You got one in your store, Stu. Can you give it to me?
So, Trev, how excited are you getting for Nintendo Switch?
Not at all. You?
Yeah, well, I talked to you before, and I've got it pre-ordered, but whether or not I'll keep it is another story. I'm thinking, well, I'll definitely get it, and whether or not I think, I've got so many other games at the moment that I want to play. I'm thinking, well, okay, right, I can leave it for a while and then pick it up in 6 months when Mario Kart's out and things like the new Super Mario stuff like that. So I'm still not 100%, but there's it's quite funny. About a week ago, someone managed to get hold of a stolen one. Got it from some store or somewhere. Nothing to do with Playnation Games. One was all in America, and they did an opening, and so
it's on YouTube.
Yeah, and they did an opening and showed everyone the operating system. And since then, Nintendo have sent every YouTuber who's got more than 100,000 subscribers.
The old
a Nintendo Switch, and they've all done an opening for it. So
has that prompted that? You think it's been prompted by the?
I think it has actually been a little prompt. It's if you want to.
Yeah, I saw Eurogamer got one now as well.
Eurogamer, Digital Foundry have got one.
In the last week, they've all popped up, haven't they?
Literally in the last couple of days, that I think I've got about 4 or 5 of them popped up in my thread this morning. So IGN have obviously got one, and
no one's coming to the shop, are they? Saying, "Hey, I want to trade in my Switch now."
No, we've not had one traded in yet. No, maybe we might do, but I doubt it.
I caved in and pre-ordered it because I got a bit enthusiastic for one day, but now I'm thinking I might cancel it and just wait for it to come out and wait for a few more games, because as much as Zelda's kind of the main game for it, if there was other games out, it wouldn't have been the first one I would get. I know some people could be like, "Oh my god," but yeah, I like Zelda, but I'm not the biggest fan.
Of the launch titles,
if there was a Mario game, I would get that instead of Zelda, basically, but there isn't.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, it's the only game really to get, to be honest.
Pretty much, yeah. The others are kind of naff.
I mean, if you got it pre-ordered, there are ones going with bids on for over £400 at the moment.
That's insane. When you only got, but then I remember I got a 3DS the day it came out, because that actually looked good. Basically, it was Super Street Fighter 4 that sold it to me, because that looked freaking amazing and as good as the 360 version, which I couldn't believe a handheld could do that. And I pre-ordered it, and there was all these queues outside shops. Obviously, you love that because you have a shop. But I got it like the day before from Amazon. I literally got it. They sent them out. I think they got in trouble with Nintendo over it, but they sent it out as soon as they got them, and I got it the day before. So I had a 3DS the night before, and I was walking to work the next day, or to the train station, and there was all these queues out. There was a game. There was a game I used to walk past, closed now, but there was a humongous queue. People waiting to get their Switch, and I had it in my pocket, and I was playing it on the train. That had a great launch lineup. I think I got on the day. I think I got Pro Evo and the 3D Pro Evo, and what else did I get? It was Street Fighter 2. I think that kept me going for months. On the 3DS.
What do you think of Pro Evo on the 3DS?
It was basically the PS2, the 3D mode, which is basically the third person, the My Player mode where you play as one player. I got bored of that super quick, and I basically just played the regular 2D Pro Evo, because it was literally just the PS2 Pro Evo. But that was good, because that was a great, one of the best football games. That engine, that PS2 engine, that that sort of was where you got all the best Pro Evos came out on. Although way people tend to say the recent ones have been the best ones now, don't they? The last couple. It was good. I liked it. I really liked it. I didn't get one since that though. I think they got as far as 2013. I think I've got that knocking around somewhere. I might have to play that, because I've got a craving for it now. I might have to take it to work. 2014 came out in Japan, but not over here.
Oh,
I think the 3DS is region 3.
No, region locked.
Is it not?
It's region locked, yeah.
Really? Oh, bugger.
Yeah, you won't be able to play that. Well, unless you buy a Japanese 3DS.
Yeah, so okay, so you can't then. But yeah, they did make 2014 in Japan, but it would have been. You're not really missing much. They just made reskins. It was just basically it was Pro Evo. I think it was basically Pro Evo 6. The sort of probably the best Pro Evo on the PS2, and they just put the new kits in. But I think the thing is, if you put it in 3D, it was 30 frames per second, and if you turn that off, you got 60, which is what the PS2 version ran at. So I tended just to turn it off to get the slightly smoother. You can feel it in the controls when you get better frame rate. It's more responsive, so I tended to leave it off.
I always found that what was it? The 3D on. I never liked it.
Some games it was good, like Pilot Wings was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does make you feel a bit. It blew me away when I first turned on a 3DS, though.
Oh yeah,
really blew me away.
Same here.
Oh my god, they've done
it is an amazing effect.
Yeah,
But
I couldn't
basically,
believe it. I don't know how they did it. I honestly didn't. It was that impressive.
I
But yeah,
wasn't too keen.
did you turn it off then on every game?
Well, I'll be honest, I haven't got a 3DS.
Oh, right. Have you ever had
Two
one?
PSPs, a Vita, and pretty much most other systems, but I've never got myself a 3DS. I've got not two DSs, old DSs, but that's about it, really. So
Yeah, it's got.
yeah.
I got it when it came out, and obviously they chopped the price down, didn't they? Literally like 2 months later, which pissed everybody off and me off because me and my girlfriend bought one. But the good thing was they came out with that ambassador program where they chucked you a bunch of like NES and Game Boy games, and
That's good
I
of them.
got Mario 3D World for free, but as a download. So I've got I can never got a precious SD card in there that can never be erased because you know what Nintendo were like. They'd be like, "Oh no, that's expired now. Can't re-download it." So yeah, that was a good game. Yeah, the Ridge Racer game was really good. It had a lot of really good launch games. To be honest, it's been sat though, gathering dust for. I can't remember the last time I played it to any degree. Trouble is, I tend to buy these things thinking I'm going to play them on my commute. But
No.
these days I just read on my phone, or there's a crappy little, there's a FIFA mobile one, which is kind of all right, and it's good for the sort of, the amount of time I could bother to play something on my phone. I just can't bother to dig out, because I don't like to just throw a handheld, into a bag. You have to put it in a case, right? So too much admin.
Too much
basically.
admin.
But I might do it now. I've got Pro Evo because I did buy 2013 because I saw it cheap in CEX for it's like £3 or something. So I thought, I'll buy that. So I might end up doing that now. Playing that tonight.
Lay in bed and play Pro Evo.
Yeah, turn the 3D off to get 60 FPS, and then
just
good to go.
A quick question: are you planning to get any more Apple II computers?
I've got an Apple II Euro Plus, and I've got an Apple II GS. I don't know if that means anything to you or to anybody listening.
To be honest with you, I'm not really that interested in your answer. What I'm getting at is we had a funny conversation with your girlfriend at the football where she doesn't mind your collection, but stop buying Apple II computers because they're just so big.
I've got another one on my list, so there's going to be I'm getting a 2C. I don't really mean anything to people that are into that stuff, but yeah.
Oh no, she might leave you.
Well, that's a tiny old thing. That's it was actually designed. The C means like compact. It's tiny.
Oh, okay.
So,
You
yeah,
might be able to get away
I'll
with
get
that.
away with that. Yeah, and the disk drive's built into it. But yeah, it's a very important part of computing history, Stu. Mister, I bought a Spectrum ZX 128.
I can hide that. You see, I can hide that. Don't go in the cupboard.
Oh, so does Justine object to your buying of old stuff then?
She does. All she actually wants me to buy are retro designer handbags. She'd be happy if I bought designer handbags all day long,
Right.
and stored lots and lots of them.
Yeah.
And that's not really my thing.
Tom doesn't really share your hobby then.
No, it's not quite my hobby.
I think I get the impression that this podcast has made you buy a few more games than you may have done in terms of collecting. Would you say that's true?
It has, yes. Because once you've actually go,
because you're
talking about it
now. You're Facebooking me now, and you're like, oh, look what I got. I picked this up. Before you were just like, you were.
Well, the other day, I think I phoned you up, and I was.
You're that excited, yeah.
I've got FIFA. Yeah. I've got FIFA 98. You're like, Stuart, it's 2 a.m, mate. Stop waking me up, you idiot.
And to like a pro like me, that's just like the shrapnel that's in the bottom of my collection, FIFA. But for you, it's just getting started, very exciting.
Exactly.
I'm saying this is someone that owns a retro video game shop, to be fair. So,
we've got some really good stock in today.
But so if you're getting into this, you must really like to bite your hand to stop you from dipping into the store treasures.
I mean, what I do is basically, if really rare stuff comes in, it's worth a lot of money, I won't take that. But FIFA 98.
Someone rocked in. They were talking about Saturday Night Slam Masters on the Mega Drive. being a game that I'm after now, and a game that's quite, 200 quid on eBay potentially. That came in, would you buy it, or would you leave it for the good people of Croydon?
I would leave it. For one, it's really good. It'd be good for the shop to sell, and one, we've had to pay a lot of money to get that game in.
Has there ever been one that you thought, I have to just buy that, I can't just let someone buy it?
We've had Panasonic Qs in. I remember a few years ago we had a Panasonic Q in.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had that in, and I think we sold it for £150, and the guy was umming and ahhing, and
good price.
Exactly, but this was back when we were in the old shops. It was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and now you can't get one for less than £400.
I mean, you can double that. Yeah, you can double that.
£400-500. I'm thinking, actually, God, I wish I bought that because I want one of those. Same with the multi mega. I've always wanted one of those, but now they go for absolutely silly money. We've had Panzer Dragoon Saga in. Now that's a game that I've always wanted just for my collection.
I've seen you selling multi-megas though. I think you get them in, don't you? Every now and then.
We've had a few in, and they're cracking little machines because obviously
it's the best Mega Drive. It is literally the best model of Mega Drive because it's got a CD and Mega Drive in one, and it's one power supply instead of 6 that you have to have for for a normal one.
Exactly. So it's really good to use, and I highly recommend it. To anyone if you get the chance to get hold of one, because it's such a small little form factor. That's a machine I love to get. But something like that, I would basically, if it came in and we paid X amount for it, I would pay the same into the shop so the shop didn't lose out. Otherwise, but say something like FIFA 98 that came in and we didn't pay a lot for it. It was a massive pile of games. Someone was just clearing out. And they weren't, particularly rare games, or maybe rare to someone because they wanted to play them. So something like that. Well, I'll grab that for myself, and I'll have a bit of fun on it, and we use it to chat about the shop in the podcast. So it's well worth getting. So and quite often, I'm sure I'll grab a few Spectrum games this weekend in the shop. And but
I think you mentioned that. I think you said when we were chatting to Oliver Harper. Who may be back on the show. There you go, a little drop in the future one. I think you mentioned that the Mega Drive was probably maybe your second most sort of bought or sort of requested, whatever, system.
Yeah, I think so. Retro-wise, it certainly is. It's
retro.
And the Mega Drive, that's what people want. Maybe the PlayStation's up there as well. And, do you class PlayStation 2 as retro? That's the question. So
I guess it's 360 is probably number one, isn't it, generally?
I wouldn't say that's retro, though.
Oh, yeah, but I mean just generally, in terms of all consoles.
I'd say the biggest seller is probably the PlayStation 4.
You think so? That has overtaken... I'm assuming, but I'm assuming the 360 was your most popular until maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we find is by value, it's the PlayStation 4, and by quantity, it may still be the Xbox 360.
Yeah,
we sell a lot of it, and we get a lot of it in, and that's good.
You still get people asking for FIFA 17, apparently.
Exactly. Well, we talked about that earlier.
Get a few of them off eBay. Get a few of them off eBay and flip them. Make a killing, mate. They won't know how much it costs. 60 quid, mate. Cheers. They'll be like, why is it so expensive? Oh, it's going to be rare soon, mate. Going to be rare.
No,
you're a good, honest shopkeeper. You would charge a far better price, maybe 55 quid. 50. To be fair, actually, if you want an expensive FIFA 17, try and find a physical copy of the PC version. I paid 50 quid for that. Yeah.
Did you? Oh my god!
Yeah, I know I'm an idiot because I could just go on Origin and download it, which is the EA Steam on the PC. You can't EA games. You can't buy them really on Steam. They keep them on their own little thing called Origin, which is all right. It's a nice little place to buy stuff. They do some really good deals on it, but and you could get basically FIFA 17 on there for about the same price as the PS4 version. But I like a physical disc, and EA do produce a very small amount of physical copies of the PC version, and pretty much for similar reasons to what you said about when they carry on making 360 versions of sports games, because there's other markets that buy them because they don't have the new consoles as readily bought as the old ones. Basically, there's markets that don't have very good internet. So and it comes on 5 DVDs. It's
5 DVDs. Game.
A football game.
Oh my god!
You download it, it's 50 gigs. That's a football game. So it's insane. But yeah, and also it's faster because my internet's rubbish for downloading stuff. I could just bung the DVD. But in saying that, you put the DVDs in, all 5 of them, takes about an hour, and then you still have to download like 1 gig day one patch. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that cost me 50 quid to get a sealed copy of that. You can't get to get it from Poland or something. You can't get it from Amazon. Actually, you can. I checked, and you can now, but that's about several months after it came out, and I'm waiting several months for that. Would you?
No, I wouldn't.
You get any PC games? Never actually asked you that.
We don't do PC games.
The old ones, like the old big box ones, or
we do actually. We get a few of them in. We get a few of those in, but they're really, for people who are collecting the old ones, which not really that many people collect those. But
yeah, the new ones you can't because the serial number's used.
Yeah, serial number. So it just tends to be. We just avoid them really. So
yeah. Oh, okay. Well, that was some nice insight into your store there that I'm sure no one was expecting. And you're going to get. Are you getting people into your store because of this podcast yet? Is this all pointless?
No one's come in and sort of said, "Oh, you're the guy from the podcast." No one said that yet. I think they're all probably a little bit too shy.
Yeah, they're starstruck.
Yeah. So they go, "Oh, I might not mention." No, I don't know. I don't want to go up to him. He must be too famous.
We'll see what happens after tonight, then, shall we?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe tomorrow. Okay, guys. We'll call that a wrap for today's episode. Thanks for listening again. And we're going to be back again with another episode in a couple of weeks' time. Stu, where else can you listen to the show?
Right, you can listen to it at www.consoleshock.net, and you can also listen to it on iTunes. Search Console Shock. You can also listen to it on Stitcher. Search Console Shock. You can also get it first if you're on our YouTube channel. That's don't search YouTube on YouTube. Search Console Shock on YouTube. Now, on the Playnation channel, there are lots of Console Shock videos. You might come across those, but it's the channel called Console Shock. And you'll find us there, and you can see me and Trev in the flesh of some of the videos we did years and years and years ago. And then also,
ugliest people to ever appear on YouTube.
Yes. Facebook, find us on there. Search Console Shock on Facebook. Okay, so find us everywhere, and it's really good.
Visit Playnation Games in Croydon.
Playnation Games in Croydon. Search our Playnation Games Croydon. Play Facebook Games Croydon. Facebook
you won't get any new PC games, but
we don't do PC games. No.
And please trade in a FIFA 17 on 360 if you have it and you're bored of it.
Please,
crying out for them.
Please,
no more PS4. You got a ton of them. And need any more of them.
Loads,
please. We'll put like a charity, like a drive out, so get everybody to do it, like a campaign thing. Anyway, thanks, guys. Please subscribe and watch out for our next show.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.